Okay, so for the files that we need, the flat files, they're an Illustrator AI file. There's 3 layers, so I'm going to minimize those. The 3 layers, the first one at the bottom, you build all the art in that layer. So if I take away everything else, this is the art layer. And there's actually some white around this that you can't see because of course it's on a white background, but if I highlight it, you can see there's actually let me move it. You can see there's white behind it. So anything, generally if it's a clear bottle, we put a white outline around it, so it needs to have white, and that's why there's some white over here too. But you make everything in this layer, and you're gonna copy and paste all of this into the layer above it, and that's going to be a spot color that we make it look pink, but it's actually white, and it needs to be called white. So this swatch needs to be a spot color. It needs to be labeled white, and it has to be with a capital W and then lowercase letters. It needs to be CMYK. You need to turn magenta up to 100%. And then you use that spot color to represent where the white ink in the white layer is going to be. So I'm going to delete this layer and show you how we would add it normally. So let's say we just built this artwork. We've got everything we need. So you select the whole layer, this bottom layer. You hit Control C for copy, Control F to paste it directly over itself. And you'll see that square was large and it shrank to small. That's to tell you there's another layer on top of the previous layer. So while it's still highlighted, all you do is drag it up one and let go. And everything you just copied is now on the white layer. And our job now is to make everything on the white layer have this spot color that's called white but looks pink. And you can't just click it like I just did. That won't work. What you have to do is individually select all of them. So I'm gonna have to go, I don't know, I just accidentally messed it up, but there we go. So what I usually do is turn off this layer so it's not confusing you. You go back to this layer and you go ahead and delete the text. Then you select this and you go to Object, Path, Outline, Stroke, because there's a stroke you don't see there. So then you go over here, you make it the pink spot color, which represents white. Next, if there's white behind this logo, you need to just delete what's on top of it and then highlight the white. And if there's an outline around that, you just go to Object, Path, Outline, Stroke. This case I already outlined it, so it's no problem. Then you use the spot color to make it pink. On this text, it looks like there's an outline separate from the text, so I'm going to delete it and then highlight the back outline. And then you just do Object, Path, Outline, Stroke. In this case I already had done that. So then you make it pink, which is, remember, our special spot color, and the way you can tell that in the swatches is it has that little black dot in a white corner. See how none of these others have that except for this one? These are the only 2 spot colors that are in here. You cannot use this pink or this pink. You have to use the pink that is specifically a CMYK spot color labeled white with magenta at 100%. So make sure it's not another pink. It can't just be pink. It has to be a spot color, CMYK, labeled white with a capital W, and then you move magenta up to 100%. So we're gonna magic wand, use the magic wand, which you can hit the Y key to bring up. You select this hidden white corner. That will highlight all of them, because there's not an easier way to do this. This is built poorly and we just have to do it this way. You cannot shortcut this. You can't just highlight the whole thing. I'll show you what happens if you highlight the whole thing. That's what happens, and you do not want that. So what you have to do is hit the Y key to select the magic wand, highlight just this sliver right here, click it, then apply the pink, and you're good on that. And now all that's left is to highlight, or magic wand rather, this. That highlights all of it. Now it's pink. Now we're done with this layer, except you need to highlight it over here again. Go down to overprint fill, make sure that's a check mark. Now you can turn this layer back on and you should see through it like this. If it doesn't look like this, then you did something wrong. So then you turn the die line back on. Then you go ahead and save the file as, which I already had done, so I'm not going to do it again. So once you save it as, you need to go over to this layer, turn off your name here, because we want this to be blank. This is where auto-generated names are going to go. So you turn off your name here on the bottom layer, that's the color layer. Then you go File, Save As, PDF. And you're doing PDF with die line because we have the die line on for this one, and we're also going to save it without the die line right after this. So hit save, and of course you would hit yes to replace, or if you don't have one already, you would just save it. I'm not going to replace it. Well, I'll go ahead and do it just for the sake of the video. Okay, on this pop-up you need to select PDF X4. It's a preset and it's called PDF X4 2008. It's the fourth one down or fifth one down. So you select that, don't change anything else, and then hit save. Now you turn off the die line, which is the top of the three main layers. It's the top one. You turn that off, and then you go to save as, and then you save as the name of the file, but change with to without die line because it's without die line. Then you click save, and when you go to replace it, it should still have the X4 preset up, but if it doesn't, you can just drop down and select it. Then you save. And that's all you need to know for this. That was the main issue we were missing, is that the spot color layer on the files that were sent to us, it was not a spot color, it was just a regular CMYK color. Someone had just selected this pink and thought that was correct, but it needs to be a spot color, not process. All of these other ones are process, so you need to select spot color, and you need to title it white with a capital W. It needs to be on CMYK, and magenta needs to be 100% because we want it to stand out and be visible. So this pink represents white. It's a special fifth spot color that our printer uses. It's white ink. So everywhere that you see pink is actually going to be white when this prints. And we set it pink on purpose so that we can see it that way. So it needs to look like this when you're done. And that's basically it. The next step would be to copy the artwork back in or over into these files that we gave. So the artwork would go in here, you would save it as a PNG, then you would drag it into here, use the mask and save that as a PNG, and then you would relink those over into here. So each of these is a relink from the files that you use to make them over here. So the main thing is to make sure the spot colors are correct though. That pink layer that we title white, it has to be a spot color. In the files we were given, it was not a spot color. So that's the main issue.